Hello, Leon Turner here again. Today, I'm going to do a quick video trying to explain how to interact with SQL or other databases. So essentially, I've got IQVISION here, and I'm going to record some of the local data into a SQL database in my particular instance here, but it could equally be MySQL or another. So to that end, I've got a couple of points which are recording, as you can see. I put this chart up. This is showing you the delta of those points, so it keeps it all nice and condensed on the screen. Now, I've got them on a pretty quick recording schedule, so they're recording every 2 seconds, and I've deliberately limited the span of these recordings down to quite a short span. So if I revise this, the history table, you can see hopefully you can only ever get 300 records. This is all stored to the disk within IQVISION locally. Now, my SQL system is actually also on the same PC because it makes recording this significantly easier. But it could just as easily be on a different machine somewhere else if it was connected with IP somehow. I haven't really done anything particularly special with this. For testing, I'm just using SQL Server Express, which is a small free version, and this is the SQL Server Management Studio here. So I'm just going to connect to show you that it's live. I'll connect twice. I'll connect once with Windows authentication. So this will be my user connecting on my laptop. You notice I didn't get a chance to change it. And if you're sharp-eyed, you'll see I've already created a database on here. All I did was right-click on databases and click New Database. I've done nothing particularly special to this. I'm also going to connect as a SQL Server authentication user, which I've already set up, and I'll show you that in a second. So MMI is machine-to-machine interface, and I've given it a password. And if I connect, I can see it on both of these credentials. That's just my test to see that I can actually connect and see things on this database. Sorry, on this server. So the user I set up is just this one here, MMI, and nothing particularly special. I've given it all the rights I can, and I've just told it the default database is IQVISION. So that MMI user, its default database is the IQVISION database here. Now, obviously, if this is an existing database, you'll have to sort of tailor this to suit. I'm just doing this and the easiest way I can to show you on as a demonstration, and it makes it significantly easier to make it clear in IQVISION itself. But you'll see the installation actually included all my other various logins as well. I did not add this. This was added automatically for me in the background. So that's the user, and if I look in the database, you'll find it's already been put in there. So under security, users, MMI appears. So that's the prerequisites from a SQL side anyway. And just to prove the point, there's nothing under tables. So nothing exists under IQVISION. It's an empty database. So if I FOD that back up for clarity, in fact, I won't. I'll leave that open so you can see. So I'm going to get this out of the way for the now, for the present time, and crack on with adding it as a SQL repository. Now, this will purely be about recording information into that SQL database and making it seamless in going and getting it back again. I'm not going to record any extraneous SQL data into IQVISION. That's a separate task which would take longer to explain, but you can do that. You can set points up and use SQL statements to go and collect data back into IQVISION should you wish to from whatever database you wish. So first things first, I'm going to add a driver. Now you have to be a little bit careful here to choose the right one. So it's an RDBMS, Relational Database Management System Network. Bit of a mouthful. So because this is SQL, I'm actually going to call it SQL Network. And the fact that it's a network kind of implies that you could add other SQL servers to store this, which is absolutely correct. You could. I'm only going to use my local one. So I hit new, and this is for the actual server itself. So I'm going to go with a SQL Server database, and I'm going to call it, predictably enough perhaps, SQL. It's enabled. The privileged username is going to be MMI and my password, which I set up earlier, as I said. And I'm not going to worry about anything else on here. In fact, I am. I'm going to put this in as well. I don't necessarily need to, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right, so it comes up immediately as fail because it doesn't have a connection. Now, if I go in and configure that using the property sheet, so quite clearly I need to put in the IP address of my device here. So there's a few I've used before. I'm going to go with, I'll go with the loopback 127.0.0.1 because it's on my local machine and I'm just trying to keep it easy. I could use the host name and I could use the actual IP address, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hit OK and see if that connects straight away. So there we go. Once I've corrected the password, it all works. So you can see it's okay. I've connected, but there's nothing in here, no points, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. And there's nothing under the histories. And this is where we add something to go and send it to SQL. So I'm going to send, well, I'll send all of these actually, but point 1 and point 2 are the ones we really want to be worried about. And I'm going to send them quite quickly because I've got a 2-second interval with a 300 point limit or 300 point record limit. So that should be 10 minutes by my rough calculation. So I'm going to record this every 5 minutes just to make sure we don't miss any information. So this should be a very full and complete record once we've done that. Okay, and I'll send them all back. I'll send them all down, sorry, to the archive. And away they go. So they're all pending or in progress. So they're actually being written to SQL now. So it's quite easy to send things on a one-way trip to SQL. There is another stage we need to fulfill though in order to actually get things to come back again. I'm just going to wait for that to actually write all the points into SQL, and then we can prove it in the SQL Management Studio itself. Histories. So now if we go to SQL and I refresh my table view here, you can see there's my 4 histories. So we'll look at the big ones first. So set top 1,000 rows, and there are lots and lots and lots of those. You can see lots of live data. That is only 1,000. I'm sure there are more than that. We'll try for 100,000, see how many we get. Oops. So it's taking a while because it's pulling back quite a few samples out the database, I would guess. So yeah, that's 100,000. That's over 100,000 data samples in there. If I could be really bothered to brush off my SQL skills, I could probably tell you exactly how many, but that's a little outside today's demonstration. But if I look at History Remote, you will see that's pulled back 300 rows because that is all that was in that record in order to send to SQL. Now, every 5 minutes, that will obviously add another couple, and then a few more, and a few more, and so on and so forth. But at the moment, it's only 300 rows. Now, if I hide that again for a minute and go back to IQVISION and go back to the point, you will see that is still 300 records, although some time has passed and it's still been recording. So it is 1407 at the moment, and you can see the last recorded one is 1407. The first recorded one is 157. So we've only got 10 minutes worth of data being stored. Now, in order to continuously link that up to the data that we're putting into SQL to make sure you can access it all, there's something else we need to do. So if I go to the services and go to my history service, which is in there, you'll see there's something called archive history providers, which is empty at the minute. Now, there's an extra palette called RDB. And if I look in there under history service archive provider, there's something called RDB archive history provider. If I pop that in there, hit OK. Obviously, it's in default at the minute. I haven't configured it, but if I hit true and save it and go and find my relational database, which is that one, hit OK. And maximum archive results per query 50,000. We'll go with that. I could put max obviously in there so it would get every single thing, but that might make it pretty slow. Now, interestingly, if I go back to my point data and refresh this, we now get 398 records, which is how it is since we began. So it has gone back and added, backfilled. So if you remember, the last one I looked at, it was 157, I believe. So it's gone back and backfilled all of the other data that was rolled out of the local log. And if I keep doing it, 410, you'll see that is still going up. Now, if you remember, the previous one would only ever go to 300 records because that's the local log. So it is continuously and contiguously filling in the blank information. So now we've got back to 155 and it is still continuously logging. So that should now not disappear off the edge of the screen because we're keeping that point. And again, if I go to AX history table, 427. So you'll see that's now nicely racking up, and there is no gaps in the data. And just to prove it completely and without any kind of doubt, if I go to my points, you'll see on the numeric interval, it is capped at 300 and will roll. So the last one in that 300 will get lost. There will never be 301 stored locally. So just to reiterate, those 300 are stored locally within IQVISION. Anything else is coming from SQL. So now 448. So I hope that explains it fairly clearly. As I said, that was a fairly limited example. I'm only doing these on my machine here. But it would be just as valid to do it to a remote machine. The process is exactly the same, really. But I hope that is clear enough. So yes, as always, thank you for listening. I hope that helps, and there'll be more videos soon. Bye-bye.